If you've ever used GIMP for graphic design, you know that it's difficult and frustrating to use. Not to mention, the quality of your graphics is not that good. But what if I told you there was a free Photoshop clone that is 10 times better than GIMP for graphics? Would you be interested? Well, guess what? There's a free Photoshop clone that you can start using right now by going to PhotoPea.com. But how does it compare to Photoshop? And is it really better than GIMP? If you're ready to find out, let's do it. So there are three primary tools you'll need to create graphics: shapes, text, and paths. Let's talk about shapes first. Now, as you may or may not know, GIMP does not have a shape tool, but check this out. In PhotoPea, if we scroll down right here, lo and behold, we have a shape tool. So PhotoPea, like GIMP, is a 100% free alternative to Photoshop, but PhotoPea already has something not available in GIMP. Now you might be saying, well, Chris, I saw your video tutorials on creating shapes in GIMP. So yes, you can create shapes in GIMP, but there are two problems with creating shapes in GIMP. So let's take a quick look and compare to PhotoPea. So I'm going to go inside of GIMP here, and the first thing I need to do is I need to create a new layer. Then I need to select a selection tool. I'm going to go with the ellipse select, and then I'm going to create a selection based on the shape that I want. Then I need to grab my bucket fill tool and fill that in with the color, and then deselect. So a lot of steps to create a shape in GIMP. Now let's check out how easy it is to do in PhotoPea. So I'm going to grab my ellipse tool as well, and I'm going to go ahead and create a shape, and boom, I have a shape. That was 10 times faster than in GIMP, wouldn't you agree? But more importantly, let me show you the quality difference between shapes in PhotoPea versus GIMP. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on our shape here in PhotoPea. And we're going to take a look at the edges, which look pretty good. They're not pixelated. Of course, I went in too far there. So you can see they're not pixelated. Now let's compare that to the shape that we created in GIMP. Let's go ahead and zoom in here as well. And it looks pretty good as well. So the problem is not creating the shape, but when you want to enlarge the shape, because maybe you didn't get the shape the right size the first time in GIMP. So I'm going to go back to PhotoPea here. Let's go ahead and zoom out, and let's go ahead and increase the size of this shape. If we zoom in, we can see that the edges are smooth and not pixelated, so it's the same exact quality. Now check out what happens when we go inside of GIMP and we want to resize. So I'm going to grab my scale tool here, and I'm going to make it larger. All right, let's zoom in and compare. And this time you can see that the edges of the shape in GIMP is pixelated or softer versus PhotoPea. So the quality of shapes in GIMP are not as good as PhotoPea. So one of the things you can do to avoid this quality issue in GIMP is, well, you can start all over, which is a waste of time if you ask me. Especially when you don't get the exact size you need the first, second, or third attempt, or just use PhotoPea for creating shapes instead. So why is the GIMP shape pixelated and not so in PhotoPea? Well, I'm glad you asked. So PhotoPea shapes are vector-based, and in GIMP, they are raster-based. So what does that mean? So a raster-based layer is created with individual pixels. And raster layers are great for manipulating images that require lots of fine detail. Vectors, on the other hand, are rendered by using a mathematical formula. They're perfect for shapes and other types of art that don't require a lot of detail. Okay, let's take a look at our text tool in both PhotoPea and GIMP. So each of them provides an easy way to add text with the text tool. So let's take a look at the text tool in PhotoPea. I'm going to go ahead and delete that layer. I'm going to grab my text tool, and I'm going to type out layer styles. And there's a reason why. So as you can see, adding text in PhotoPea is really easy to do. Let's take a look at GIMP, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this layer here. I'll just go ahead and hide it for now. And I'm going to go ahead and type in layer styles. So we have a lot of tool options over here for adjusting our text, just like we do in PhotoPea here. Our tool options are up here, so we can change the font, the style, the size, the color, and we have some other options here as well. So as you can see, adding text in both PhotoPea and GIMP are very easy to do. However, it's still easier to manipulate the text in PhotoPea versus GIMP. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to double click on my text layer here, and this is going to bring up a layer style dialog window, which we do not have in GIMP. So if we want to add a drop shadow, all I have to do is click right here and boom, we have a drop shadow. Now, we do have an option to add a drop shadow and long shadows in GIMP, but we don't have the flexibility to go back and change that like we do in PhotoPea. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I go ahead and click OK and click here, we can see I can turn off that drop shadow in PhotoPea, but in GIMP, we don't have that option. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of this text here so we can actually see it. And if we go into filters, light and shadow, you can see our styling options right here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a shadow here. All right. Now, if I want to update that shadow and change it, there's no option to do that. I actually have to undo that and start over. The other thing we can do with layer styles in PhotoPea that we can't in GIMP is we can add all these different types of styles. We can add a bevel and emboss. We can add a stroke. We can add an inner shadow and much more. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK because I have this turned off here. And now you can see the updates of these layer styles that I'm adding. So the inner shadow is that. And then we have other options here, of course, to customize the text based on our creative vision for the design we're creating. Now here's another one, the gradient overlay. We can create gradients for our text in GIMP, and I have a tutorial for that, and it's about 5 or 7 minutes long, and there's a lot of steps to remember. So as you can see, adding these layer styles in PhotoPea is 100 times faster, plus it's all vector based. So you can resize this text without a loss of quality. Now, the other thing that we can do that we can't do in GIMP is we can actually warp our text. So if you come up here, you'll see a little option here. If you click on that, you'll get this little window, and then you can choose a style, again, based on your creative vision, and you can go ahead and apply it to the text. How cool is that? Now, the other thing you can do here is once you find something that you like, you can use these sliders here to bend and manipulate the text based on what you need for your design. All right, so the next thing is paths. So a path consists of lines with anchor points. The lines can be bent via the anchors that you create. So paths work pretty much the same in both PhotoPea and GIMP. However, PhotoPea has a huge advantage over GIMP when it comes to adding text to a path. So for GIMP, I have a tutorial. It's about 10 minutes long, and adding text to a path in GIMP requires about a dozen steps to remember. It's so frustrating trying to add text to a path in GIMP, but in PhotoPea, it's so much easier and faster. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how fast in PhotoPea right here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my shape tool here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a path. Now I'm going to grab my text tool, and I'm going to click on that path, and then I can begin typing whatever I want onto this path. How easy is that? I love it. All right, check out this video right here to learn more secrets about adding text to a path in PhotoPea, like centering the text, rotating the text, and applying it to a custom path.